Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ben, this is Books with Genghis Khan, and today I have for you the mid-year book Freakout tag. This is actually the second time I've done this on the channel, because it was my first ever video almost a year ago. But I really love these prompts as a way to reflect on the year of reading up to this point, and look ahead a little bit too, to the second half of the year. I'm going to try to not have any repeat books for different prompts, so that's also a bit of a challenge, because some books I've loved so much I wanted to get in here multiple times. But let's start with prompt 1, which is the best book you've read so far in 2022. So I could have chosen maybe any of the Song of Ice and Fire books I've read this year, which I've loved to death, and I've read most of them in the first half of this year. But for the single best book, I have to go with Tiamat's Wrath. That's book 8 of 9 in the Expanse series by James S. A. Corey. And this was a perfect book for me. It had me gripped and immersed and emotionally invested for every single page from start to finish. And I looked at my Goodreads log and I read it over the course of just 2 days, which checks out because I could not put this down. Just my favorite plotted of the Expanse books. And at this point in the series, you just care about all the characters, but I even got invested in one of the new POV characters. Just an absolute breathless roller coaster ride of a book. Prompt 2, the best sequel so far in 2023. And I have an embarrassment of riches to choose from. I have a couple recent ones, and I'm going just for book 2s for this prompt to limit myself. Here is Mad Ship, book 2 of the Live Ship Traders by Robin Hobb. Hit the ground running, and this was yet another roller coaster ride of a book where I'm just utterly gripped to all of the different plots happening in different locations with different POV characters, and set up what I hope is a tremendous finale. And then A Clash of Kings, book 2 of A Song of Ice and Fire. I could not have loved this one more. The new locations, POV characters, and all the time we spend with Tyrion, I just loved it. Yeah, this was basically a perfect read for me as well. And another recent read, that is Jade War by Fonda Lee, book 2 of Greenbun Saga. And this was another series where it took me a little time to get hooked and invested in book 1, but just hit the ground running here again and loved the direction the series took. Prompt 3, a new release you haven't read yet but want to. So one that I don't have a copy of yet is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. I've just seen so many people really love this one deeply. And I have so many books that I have it's kind of a backlog of books that I'm in no rush to read new releases anymore. But maybe I'll wait until the next book or two come out in that trilogy. But can't wait to try that. And another one is The Way of Adan by Philip Chase. He's releasing this whole trilogy over the course of just about a half year this year. So again, I'm in no rush. I might be able to binge it all and wait till even Library of Alexandria's audio narration is available. So yeah, very eager to try that though. Prompt 4, the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And I have a bunch that are continuations of series that I started and have really gotten into. So we have The Trader of Red Winter by Ed McDonald. That's book 2 in the Red Winter Chronicles. I really loved book 1 last year, and I think fans of The Realm of the Elderlings could really get into that series as well, with a lot of nuanced, deep, interesting character work and relationship dynamics going on, with a very intriguing plot as well. And then another one is the continuation of the Murderbot Diaries with System Collapse. I believe this is another novel-length one, so maybe not another novella. And I have enjoyed all the Murderbot books and am in suspense with seeing where it all goes. I don't know how long it's going to go for, but I definitely want to read the next installment when it comes out. And another one is book 2 in the Unorthodox Chronicles by James J. Butcher, Jim Butcher's son. And that is Long Past Dues. Book 1 was a really fun intro to an urban fantasy series, and I'm really intrigued to see where that one goes. And the other new release I'm excited about is Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. I love Legends and Lattes, and I love the idea of seeing a different story in the same vein, but that's a prequel, so very eager for that. And I'm pumped for Brandon Sanderson's Secret Projects 3 and 4. I've read the preview chapters for those, and I think I might really dig those stories. So definitely eager to get my hands on those as well. Prompt 5, your biggest disappointment. And that is easy. It is The Tyranny of Faith by Richard Swan. It's book 2 in Empire of the Wolf, the follow-up to The Justice of Kings, which I loved last year. I was so invested in that book 1. The characters had me gripped, the plotting was so interesting, the world building really fresh and new, and this one just felt more conventional, and it somehow just lost me and my engagement and investment. I didn't care about the plot. I started to not care about the narrator, that main character, or even most of the side characters around them. I don't really understand what happened and how this lost me so much. But a huge disappointment, because I thought it was going to be a new favorite series, maybe. And a similar one was The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin, book 2 in the Broken Earth trilogy, because I really liked book 1, the 5th season, and then book 2 just lost my engagement and it became more of a chore, and I just hate it when a series that I'm invested in and really think is going to become a favorite just loses me. And so that was another big disappointment. Prompt 6, a favorite new author. This one was actually an easy decision because most of the books I've loved have been from familiar authors for me, and some of the newer authors I've tried this year have not really worked, like Micaiah Johnson, J.S. Dewis, and Larry Correa. And so I haven't had a lot to choose from, but I am loving the Greenbun Saga, and so Fonda Lee, definitely a new favorite author. I have one more book to go in this. Really impressed me with Jade City, but even more so with Jade War. Fonda Lee's style, just right up my alley, just crisp prose, really vivid characters and action, suspenseful, intense plotting with high stakes. Yeah, she's just giving me everything I want with this series. Prompt 7, your biggest surprise, and I have a few that were such pleasant surprises for me. The first is Red Seas Under Red Skies, which I ended up loving, gave it 5 stars, but I went into this with such low expectations because I did not really enjoy The Lies of Locke Lamora, and people often say things go downhill after book 1. So I went into it just wanting to get through it, also because I like Michael Page's audio for it, but just wanting to make sure that this series maybe wasn't for me. And then I ended up really just getting so invested in this story, really engaged by the friendship and character dynamics between Locke and Jean for the first time in a way I wasn't with book 1. So, because I was into the story, I think Scott Prose's writing and the clever wit that he's displaying throughout really was just working for me, and I was so into it. So what a pleasant surprise that ended up being, and I can't wait to continue now with more Scott Lynch books. Another surprise was Piranesi. I saw all the hype this book got a couple years ago, I think, when it came out, but I always just sensed that it wasn't going to be for me, that it was just going to be a more like philosophical vibes kind of book, but it couldn't have been farther from that. And it was so easy to get invested in the plot and the main character. And it was really not like a fever dream kind of thing at all. It just, I don't want to give away too much, but it just utterly exceeded my expectations and became a very magical, transporting, immersive read. So what a wonderful, fantastic surprise. And then last, Fire and Blood, which I ended up really loving. I had absolutely zero expectations for enjoying this because I knew it was a fictional history. And I haven't enjoyed a lot of the real history books I've read in my life. And I just didn't think I'd be interested in a fictional version. But I couldn't have been more wrong. There are so many just fun, gory, specific details that are occurring throughout the history of Westeros that were just so engaging and fun and dramatic and full of tension in a way I didn't expect a history book to have. And I dove into this when I did because I was so eager to learn how the plot of the show House of the Dragon was going to play out, and I didn't want to wait so many years for that to finally end. And the stuff that came before the Dance of the Dragons, though, is so compelling, and that part itself was the real star of the book, but just loved everything George R. R. Martin's doing here. Prompt 8, a book that made you happy. I have 3 here. This is Sharpe's Revenge, so one of the later books in the series that takes place in France mostly. And there's just a plot in this book where Sharpe is injured and he's recovering at a French woman's house with some of his friends that was just utterly captivating, and the audio by Rupert Farley was just had me in stitches. I was walking around in public for part of this and just laughing out loud. I just loved the situations in this book, and yeah, don't want to give away too much because it's happens late in the series, but what a fantastic read, and audio narration in particular for Sharpe's Revenge. Another one was Antimatter Blues by Edward Ashton. So that's the book 2, the sequel to Mickey 7. And this series is really light, hard sci-fi with a wisecracking, sarcastic kind of protagonist character in the vein of Andy Weir's protagonist. And it's just really interesting, fun plots, but with a kind of lightness to it. And just really, both of these books, I reread Mickey 7 also, made me quite happy when I was reading them. And then another perfect one for this prompt was Tress of the Emerald Sea. This one does have a lot of tension and high stakes, so it wasn't always just a complete joy reading it, but the narration by Hoyd was really working for me. It did keep things light, and the whole fairy tale vibe as well just really worked. And so a lot of the time for this, I was just reading it with a smile, or listening to it with a smile on my face and enjoying the ride. Prompt 9, a newest fictional crush. So I know a lot of people don't love this prompt, but I do tend to get little crushes on characters here and there. And from this year, I'd say I got a little crush on the character of Elon from The Severing Sun, who I think is pictured here on the cover, by Vaughn Roycroft. And Elon is one of the 2 main characters in this book, and she is kind of an outcast from this female warrior society, and she's just this very fierce and competent warrior, but she has a very sensitive soul. She's just a very kind, good person, and very easy to stand behind her, and the other characters seem to find Elon very beautiful as well, so that doesn't hurt. So yeah, I got very attached to Elon. Prompt 10, a newest favorite character, and this was a very tough one, but I think I have to go with one who was completely new to me. That was the narrator from Piranesi. So he's called Piranesi by some of the characters in the book, but that's not really his name. He really is a nameless kind of character. But I'll say it's Piranesi. He was just a real innate goodness, a wonder at the world, lots of curiosity, a very logical mindset, just so many things about this character that drew me to him and made me really root for things to work out. So what a wonderful character that was I discovered. Prompt 11, a book that made you cry. So books rarely draw actual tears out of me, and I don't think I've cried yet this year during a book. I have cried actually during a TV show. I don't watch too much, but I did watch all of Beef on Netflix with Stephen Yoon and Ali Wong, and that last episode had me shedding a few tears. It really did get me. It was an emotional ride. But for books, I'm hoping that maybe soon, later this month, they could draw some tears out of me. I've heard that these books, Ship of Destiny and Jade Legacy, can get emotional. So I do hope that that is the case, because if a book is drawing out that level of emotion, it has touched me deeply and really succeeded in what it's doing. Prompt 12, the most beautiful book you've gotten this year. And I have a few. The Secret Project premium editions by Dragonsteel are just spectacular. They're faux leather, and I love the naked hardback cover designs you get with it, and they have a lot of texture to them, and the art design inside the books is just tremendous as well, with so many interesting things, even beyond amazing paintings. So yeah, loved reading from this physical edition. And then recently I got the Broken Bindings first ever published book, I think. That's A Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. Just a great cover, but the book itself just feels great, with some gilt edges, lots of full color art and maps inside. Very impressed by the Broken Binding. And then a special edition from Grim Oak Press, and that is an omnibus of the first 3 Temeraire books by Naomi Novik. So this beautiful purple slipcase, first of all, and then you have a absolutely stunning cover with Lawrence reading to the dragon Temeraire in the cover painting, a doctor mending Temeraire's wing on the back. But the actual leather-bound cover is amazing. This design, and then really high quality inside as well, with great art to keep me engaged as I read. I mean, ooh, look at that one. Oh, great painting there. So, really happy with Grim Oak Press. Prompt 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Well, I may have overcommitted on my 2023 TBR because I sought out requests from viewers and commenters to vote for books they wanted me to read, and I said I would read every series that got multiple votes, and it's looking like that's going to be an impossible task. But in terms of prioritizing, I definitely want to try out The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, The Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. Love The Expanse, his co-author effort, and really am interested to see what he does with his solo work. City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. And I've been doing so much fantasy, this should be a nice change up soon. That is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I will be a team captain in the Keymark Readathon starting in July. That's the Spiffbo 9 summer readathon theme. And so for a Spiffbo 9 book, I actually had one on the shelf ready to go. That's Pawn's Gambit by Rob J. Hayes. And a series I have been highly anticipating for a long time. That is The Five War Angels with, here's book 1, The Forgetting Moon by Brian Lee Durfee. So hopefully we'll really love all of these, and probably will mix in many more things as well. But those are my high priority ones. For tags, I think I'll tag Colin at Colin's Corner, Theo at Rekindled Reader, Kyle at Read by Kyle. But this is a great fun tag. I love these prompts. Anyone, definitely feel free to go for it if you have a channel. And if you don't have a channel, feel free to leave answers to any of the prompts in the comments. So have fun with it, and yeah, I'll catch you later.